Hi, this is the captioner. I'm not sure if you know how to assign me or not.
Hey, good
Change,
afternoon.
hi, and I'm changing my screen name also. There you go.
Okay.
Let me know if you need any help.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is 1:01. We have a lot to cover during this webinar, so we are going to start. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the Community Foods Project Competitive Grant Program for the financial year 2024. This is the RFA announcement and technical assistance webinar. This webinar will be recorded. Please make sure your microphone is muted. And if you have any issues with the technology, we have a number on the screen, 188-799-0125. Pick option 2 to get technical assistance for Zoom. Throughout the presentation, you may type questions in the Q&A feature that is available for this webinar. The slides and the recording of this webinar will be posted, and you will find that on our program page, as well as the other pages that are related to these requests for applications. This is NIFA's non-discrimination statement. The slide contains contact information for individuals with disabilities to request reasonable accommodation or language access. Anyone that's wishing to file a complaint can utilize the phone number and fax number available or postal mailing address listed on this slide. I know it's a lot of information, but this is always available for you as well, and it's also on our website. Now I will move to introducing the Community Foods Projects Program team. And our team is large and growing and sometimes changing, but you will see on the slide, we have myself, my name is Lydia Kame. I'm the National Program Leader for the Community Nutrition Program. And we have Jamilis Ocasio, who is our program specialist for this program. And Stephanie Smith is the Senior Grants Management Specialist assigned to this program. We have Shakiva Shepherd, who goes by Kiva, and she's a program assistant for this program. We have Jennifer Dennison, who is a grant management specialist for this program. And you can always access us through this email, sm.nifa.cfp@usda.gov. We all get to share that mailbox so that we can be responsive to all your needs. I would be remiss not to include Donna Fairhurst, who is not on the page here. She's not listed here, but she has been the primary specialist for this program. Donna, thank you for everything you've done, and wish you well. Okay, next topics we will cover today is NIFA. We'll do a NIFA overview. We'll also do a program overview, and then we'll spend some time on the request for applications, the proposal evaluation process, and additional information or resources for you all. So I will next cover the NIFA overview. The National Institute of Food and Agriculture, NIFA, in short, is the extramural science funding agency for USDA's research, education, and economics mission area. NIFA invests in and supports initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture. NIFA provides funding and strategic leadership for programs that ensure groundbreaking discoveries in agriculture-related sciences and technologies that reach people, and then they can put them into practice. I will show you the many topics covered by NIFA programs. NIFA covers topics from advanced technology to animal health and breeding and production and aquaculture, business and economy, natural resources, education, environment, farming and ranching, human sciences, food science, food and nutrition security, international or global engagement and global food security issues, as well as plant, and that means crop production, pest management, plant breeding, plant health, and so on and so forth. Next, we'll talk about the program overview for this request for application. Now, before you apply to this program, the Community Foods Projects Competitive Grant Program, make sure that the purpose and priorities of your work align with the primary goals of this program. We refer to this program generally as CFP. So when we say CFP, it's general for Community Foods Projects Competitive Grant Program, which has more than one grant in it. Now, the primary goals of CFP, or the Community Foods Projects Competitive Grant Program, are to meet the food needs of low-income individuals through food distribution, community outreach to assist in participation in federally assisted nutrition programs, or improve access to food as part of a comprehensive service. Number 2 is to increase the self-reliance of communities in providing for food needs of communities. And 3, promote comprehensive responses to local food access, farm and nutrition issues, or you could look at the goal as to meet specific state, local, neighborhood, food and agricultural needs, including needs related to equipment that may be necessary for efficient operation of a project, planning for long-term solutions, or the creation of innovative marketing activities that mutually benefit agricultural producers and low-income consumers. Now I'm going to talk about the 2 types of grants that are in this request for application. We start with the planning grants. So the purpose of the planning grants is to provide early stage investment in new startup projects, or to invest in completing project plans towards the improvement of community food security in keeping with the primary goals of the program. Planning projects are to focus on a defined community and describe in detail the activities and outcomes of the planning project. The planning project is to prepare a plan for a successful community foods projects grant, which is the implementation grant. And it should be in keeping with the community foods project program goals. Therefore, the planning grant is expected to model all aspects of a community food project, because it's supposed to be able to plan for a community foods project, an implementation grant. The goal of the planning grant is to help applicants create a plan that they can then implement as a community foods project. So planning applicants should request a budget commensurate with the proposed project. And historically, the average award for planning grants is approximately $25,000. But really, they can request up to $35,000 over 12 to 36 months. And this is a one-time award. So one-time award for each project planning. Next, let's talk about the Community Foods Project Grant, which is the second grant in this RFA. The purpose of the Community Foods Project Grant is to seek solutions over the longer term rather than focusing on short-term food relief. Applicants are to seek comprehensive solutions to problems across all levels of the food system, from the farmer to the consumer. Community foods projects should not be designed, to merely support individual food pantries or farmers market or community gardens or other established projects. Rather, the goal of this grant, is that the community food project should build on these experiences. So if you already have these initiatives going, the community gardens going, the farmers market, the pantries going, it should be to build on these experiences and encourage innovative long-term solutions to food and nutrition security in the community. A successful project should be sustained beyond the government and the matching funding that is allocated to this grant. Community foods projects should be designed to become self-supporting, or more sustainable funding source can also be, part of the plan, but it should be designed to become self-supporting and expand or prove to be a replicable model for the nation. Funding can support the development of such long-term projects as to accelerate and expand the work of a project. Now, when it comes to the amount, the average award for community foods projects grants is the average that we have calculated over the last 10 years is $298,000 over 36 to 48 months. That's about the average. The maximum award is $125,000 over 12 months. So if you are applying for this community foods projects for a 12-month period, the maximum would be $125,000. If it's a 48-month period, 4 years, then it's $400,000. So it's that would be the maximum, $400,000 over 36 to 48 months. And the purpose of that award would be to support the development of a community foods project with a one-time contribution of their federal dollars to become self-sustaining. And for these two programs, if I negated to say match is required, there's a one-to-one match required for these applications, whether it's the planning grant or the community foods project grant. And we'll talk a little bit more about match in another slide. But next, I would like to talk about who is eligible to apply. So if you look at the RFA on page 13, eligibility requirements are listed there on the part 3 of the RFA. To be eligible for a community foods competitive grant program under Section B of the authorizing legislation, you gotta be a public food program service provider, a tribal organization, or a private nonprofit entity, which includes gleaners. NIFA defines private nonprofit entities as any non-governmental corporation, trust, association, cooperative, or other organization which is operated primarily for scientific, educational, service, charitable, or similar purposes in the public interest, and is not organized primarily for profit and uses its net profits to maintain, improve, and/or expand its operations. Now, all eligible entities must also meet the following other criteria that is also in the RFA. They also have to have experience in the area of community food work, particularly concerning small and medium-sized farms, including the provision of food to people in low-income communities and development of new markets in communities with low income for agricultural producers. And they should also have experience in job training and business development activities for food-related activities in low-income communities. My pattern, it's not an and, it's or. They should have the experience in community food work or job training and business development activities for food-related activities in low-income communities, or have experience in efforts to reduce food insecurity in the community, including food distribution, improving access to services, or coordinating services and programs. So it's a lot that I'm reading there. So program eligibility continues to say that these entities should also demonstrate competency to implement a project, provide fiscal accountability, collect data, and prepare reports and other necessary documentation that is required in implementing such a project. They should also be able to demonstrate a willingness to share that information with researchers, practitioners, and other interested parties, because once you're awarded and you're able to do a project and it's a model that can be used elsewhere, it would be wonderful to share that as a resource for others who are starting up or need that information so that we are not always recreating the wheel. So, and then the fourth thing is collaborate. Entities should collaborate with one or more local partner organizations to achieve at least one hunger-free communities goal. As you will find in the RFA, there's a link to that. So the 4 requirements apply to all grant types. So whether it's the planning grant or the community foods project implementation grant. And again, that will be found in the RFA page 13. Now, when it comes to the application process, we will find that you will need to identify what these grant types are in your application process. So if you're applying to this program, even if you have some education pieces to the program that you in the implementation of your program, and so many of the community foods projects have components of nutrition education in them. This is not a project or a grant. Project type is not education. The project type is extension. So NIFA has those 3 areas: research, education, and extension as project types. So it's not research and it's not education. And I left education there and crossed it out intentionally so that I be able to make the point, because some of us get confused. Is this an extension? Is it education? It's not education. Education refers to like higher education type of projects. And then extension, this is an extension project. And the grant type is standard. So you want to choose that. All right, so you can always familiarize yourself with other types of grants that are available on the NIFA website as well. I will now talk about some examples of of the community foods activities that are funded through this program. We get these questions: what kind of projects do you fund? And there'll be some good information coming later on the slides, but let me just give you a little rundown of some of them. These projects include working with farmers market, not exclusively with farmers market or having farmers market stands, but working in collaboration with these types of entities for your projects: farmers market, community supported CSAs, community gardens, school gardens, farm to school projects. These all could be part of a good community nutrition program, community projects project, and other food hubs. Other types of projects include on-farm sales, stores. They also include having food cooperatives and buying clubs or roadside stands, gleaning, including urban farms in the project, including community kitchens, having small scale food processing as part of the project. And community foods projects are found in urban areas, or you can apply if you're in an urban area or in a rural area, or in the city, or it does really not matter where you are located in the country. If you can design a project that is fits the goals of this program, you're welcome to apply. Okay. I'm going to talk about some that are not funded, activities that are not funded. Okay. So successful applicants must not use grant funds awarded under this authority of this RFA for the purpose of infrastructure improvement or development. In the past, we have listed the language as these grant funds will not support renovation, refurbishing, or other construction costs. These are disallowed. The language has changed slightly, but includes all of that again. So no infrastructure improvement and development. If you have questions about that, we are happy to talk to you about it, but it's in the RFA. Next, I'm going to talk about some activities that comprise of a planning project. So planning project activities could include community food assessments and coordination of collaborative development, GIS analysis, food sovereignty studies, food to farm to institution explorations, and all the projects for each of these grant types must involve participants with low incomes. I am now going to invite my colleague, Stephanie Smith, who is going to introduce herself and also talk about matching for this program. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining us.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Smith. I am an acting senior grants management specialist with NIFA. So I work in the awards management division. So for proposals that are recommended, they go through an administrative review process, and that is when someone would be interacting with me and my colleagues. And so I will talk about matching, as match is required for CFP and PP applications. The match must be provided on a dollar-for-dollar basis for all federal funds awarded. And we require that the match be documented for all project years at the time that the application is submitted. The match may be provided through cash, in-kind contributions, or a combination of cash and in-kind contributions. And third-party in-kind contributions are included and allowable as in-kind contributions as long as they are fairly evaluated. And some examples of these include facilities, equipment, or services. Now, if the match is provided as cash, it is important that that match does not come from federal funds. The non-federal share may come from state or local government funds, other nonprofit entities, or private sources. If you are matching with state or local government funds, please ensure that those funds are not pass-through funds from a federal agency. Next slide. Matching regulations are found under uniform guidance, which you can follow at that hyperlink on this slide. Subpart D covers the regulations for cost sharing or matching. Subpart E covers cost principle. So if you have a question on if a cost is allowable, cost principles covers general costs that are seen in grant applications. So that is a great spot to look. And as with federal funds, matching costs are incurred specifically for the project proposed and during the project period. Your budget justification must list and it must list and identify the entities that are providing the match. We want to see a list of matching sources and the amount of match provided by each source, whether it is cash, in kind, if a table is useful, or in the budget justification, clearly listing which if the cost is covered by federal funds or by match funds and who's providing that match. Next slide. This slide will cover some examples of qualifying matching contributions for direct cost, such as rent for office space that is used exclusively for the funded project, duplication or postage cost, and staff time from an entity other than the applicant for job training or nutrition education. Examples of what is not acceptable as match is funds that are used for another project or similar project cannot be used, double dipping. Funds provided by another federal agency, income expected to be earned during the project period, indirect cost rates applied beyond the federal portion of award. So for indirect costs, they are only calculated on the federal portion of the award. So once those indirect costs are calculated, if they are being requested, they can be applied to the federal or the non-federal portion or a combination, but they cannot exceed the amount calculated on the federal portion of the award. And contingency costs set aside for unexpected expenses. The value of equipment previously purchased by or donated to the recipient. Office furniture, purchase, rental, or usage, and market vouchers and other incentives. Next slide. And now I will pass this back to Lydia, Dr. Comey.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for that information. And we will stay on for any questions related to March. We do get quite a bit of questions there. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the application details and documents that you would be required to provide. Before we do that, I will talk to you a little bit about the application changes from 2022, so 2023. Like what are some changes that are in this RFA that are different from last year's RFA? So one of the changes is that this program now has a training and technical assistant provider. And this RFA, in the executive summary, I believe, you have the RFA indicates how you can access the services, as well as what requirements there are for planning projects, and as well as planning projects, as well as CFP grantees that are relevant to the technical assistance services. So the technical assistance service does not just serve applicants to the program, although I think they will have a lot of work to do with the applicants, which is great, giving one-on-one technical assistance, but they also will serve current grantees of the program if they have issues related to reporting or evaluation or building any type of capacity or questions related to projects that they have already designed and maybe due to adaptive challenges in community need to change, that type thing. The evaluation requirements are streamlined for all solicited grant types in this RFA compared to last year's. And then we have also tried to, continually try to clarify eligibility requirements for this program, because we do get quite a bit of questions and we want to make sure that we are responsive to the questions and are providing you the information you need to move forward with applications. I will now talk about where to find the application and details related to this RFA. The RFA is available online, and that's the link that you can find that. You will also find in the RFA on page 2 that the deadline for this RFA, or the request for application, we call it RFA, October 30th of 2023 at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And so that's the closing time. NIFA does not accept late applications unless it is under extenuating circumstances, and we can go into that later if people do experience that, but in very, very limited circumstances do we find applicants having that situation where a late application, it can be accepted. So please submit, start working on your applications early and submit them way before October 30th. One little change from other years is you have noticed that this RFA went out early, and we wanted it to go out early so that you all can have enough time. So it will be open for longer than the last time. It was open 60 days, I suppose, and now it's open for 90 days. What this allows you to do is prepare those applications well, but also submit them in time, so you're not scrambling for time. Another thing that it allows all applicants to do is really consult with the technical assistance provider for any questions that you have, so that time is built in so that you have enough time to consult. So please use their service. The total funding available for, before I go there, all grants have to be submitted through grants.gov, no email. All of them have to be submitted through grants.gov. Technical total funding available for FY24, it's approximately 4.8 million. And program codes, these are very important. That's why we put them on here for you all. The planning grants, please, if you're applying for a planning grant, use the program code LNB. And if you're applying for a community foods projects, the implementation grant, use LN.C. And it's LN.B and LN.C. Okay. Please make sure that is done well so that we do not lose your application in the process. Okay. Next, we'll talk about, here we have already kind of talked about this application submission. NIFA only accepts electronic submission of applications. We have a really good resource called the NIFA Grants Application Guide, which is available on a link that is provided here. And this webinar is definitely going to be, it's being recorded, so you can always look back at this. And I hope the slides will also be shared so you can look this up. Use that application guide. It is meant for an applicant who has never applied to NIFA, so it gives a really step-by-step way to apply. All applications must be in portable document format, PDF, to be accepted by NIFA, including your narrative and your budget justifications. Grants.gov may allow other formats. So if you submit a Word document into grants.gov, it will take it. But NIFA does not take any documentation that is not a PDF. And another caution, do not use third-party PDF builders. Adobe is the way to go. And so do not use other third-party PDF builders. What happens with those is when they are submitted, they are not readable in our systems, and so your submission is incomplete. All right, so let's talk about the documents that you need. You will need to make sure you have a project summary or an abstract. This should, we'd like to emphasize this. This is, I think, field 7 in the application. That's, yeah, field 7 application. The project summary is a critical document for this program. It is required in PDF. The summary proposed, summarize the proposed project to include all of these things: the overall project goals and supporting objectives, a plan and the activities that you will use to accomplish the goals, relevance of the project goals to the program. Please do not include any proprietary or confidential information in your abstract. A good abstract should be at or close to 250 words as recommended, and use the suggested project summary in the application guide. We do not require that you use that, but you can use the one that is available to you in grads.gov. But keep it within the 250 words, just the recommended. Okay, then we have the narrative, field 8 of your application. The project narrative is not to exceed 15 pages of text, tables, and figures with 1.5 spacing. The page limit should be strictly enforced, will be strictly enforced. Applications exceeding the page limit will not be reviewed. Please be careful not to have more than 15 pages, because that application will be returned. The font size is listed in the RFA, and all the text, figures, and tables all need to adhere to that font and size. The project narrative consists of text, tables, and figures. And so all of that, the text, the tables, and the figures should all total up 15 pages. And we will definitely strictly enforce that. The data management plan. Applicants must provide a detailed up to 2 pages business and management plans to include expected data type, data format, data storage and preservation, data sharing, protection, and public access, roles and responsibilities of all the people that will touch on data. Please review the NIFA data management plan. And I know we get a lot of questions on this. We are not doing a research project. Why do we have to do a data management plan? So for community foods projects program, you do deal with data of people, of any sort of data that you're collecting, whether it is how many people come into the meetings and all of this information that you will collect, how many students, not necessarily students, but participants are in a program, and you're keeping tally of it, or you are, having surveys of people. All this is information that needs to be managed. So a data management plan will tell NIFA how you're going to do that. Let me talk a little bit about other requirements. So review the entire RFA to ensure all other documents required for your application package are submitted. I'm calling out a few here: the logic model, the budget and budget narrative, a current and pending support form. If you are resubmitting an application, that means you submitted one before, you need to provide, and you're doing a resubmission, you need to provide a response to the previous panel review that is limited to 1 page. And then matching funds at the time of the application, make sure that shows up. And please pay attention to a checklist that this team has created in your RFA on page 23 to 24. You will see that we have a checklist, not a checklist, it's a table, kind of a checklist, to make sure you go through that as you prepare your application, to make sure you are getting all the stuff in. But yeah, read the RFA carefully. The other thing we would like to comment on is when you apply to this program, we want to ensure that the PD, the project director, if you list a project director, the project director should not be the authorized representative, which we call the AOR. Authorized representative should be different from the project director, to separate those individuals. And the information of both of them needs to be provided as a different email. If the address is the same, no problem, but a different phone number is good, because we have had issues where a PD moves institutions, or a project director is no longer in an institution, we cannot. And if they were also listed as the AOR, which is not what we expect to happen, but we find that people want to list the same person twice, then we have a problem contacting somebody for the any needs of the application. So separate those individuals, please. And you can find out what the different responsibilities of those individuals are in the policy manual. Let me talk a little bit about the proposal evaluation process. Okay, I'm running short on time. Okay, so proposals are submitted into NIFA, and we will let you know that we have received your application. If your application is screened and it comes out that it's not going to go under review, you will get an email telling you that the application has been declined. Hopefully none of them will be declined. So in the RFA page 25, you will see proposal evaluation process. Proposals are assigned to, this is the NIFA process. They assign your proposal to at least 3 reviewers with expertise in the proposed topic. Then the reviewers produce individual reviews for each proposal, evaluating the strengths and weaknesses. Then these written reviews are used to begin a panel discussion with other reviewers serving on a peer review panel. So we have a panel discussion about each proposal. And then through the discussion, the peer review panelists come to consensus on the final rating and ranking of the proposal. And that's how NIFA determines which proposals are funded. And next, let's talk about what's the evaluation criteria that is used. Now, you will notice in the RFA, the evaluation criteria can be lengthy. So we did not get into every item on the criteria, but wanted to make sure you knew where to find it. So RFA page 24, 25, find the criteria for the planning grants, the PP. And then the evaluation criteria for the implementation grant, the community foods project grant, is on page 26 to 28. Please read through that. And read before starting to write your proposal. Read that evaluation criteria. The reviewers that will be used, that will review your application, will use that exact criteria to review your application. So it will be important to write your proposal looking at how it's going to be reviewed. And that's part of, that is our, transparent way which NIFA works with you all. Then very briefly talk about timeline of competitive programs. So we have, once you put in your application, it takes 1 to 2 months, for all of since the RFA is released to when the proposals are due. So this is a time period we are in right now. And then in our case, it's about 3 months, but this is general timelines. And then the proposal gets into the review process, takes another 2 to 3 months to do that, and then getting the notifications out to those that are recommended for funding. And then it takes another 1 to 2 months for awards to be finalized and made to the different organizations. So we would like to just let you know, on average, a competitive program at NIFA takes 3 to 5 months from when the proposal date is due, so from October 30th to when an award is made to an organization. So be patient with us, and we appreciate that patience. We also have a NIFA dashboard where you can look at applications, the status of your applications going forward, sharing that going forward. Next, I'm going to talk about training and technical assistance and just give you a little bit more here, how to contact them. So we have that sector. New England is the technical assistant provider for the Community Food Competitive Grants Program. When preparing to apply for this program, applicants are encouraged to consult the TA. If you have questions such as, how do you design a good project? How do I communicate ideas to the reviewers to improve success or to make sure that my application is reviewed well? So this is the questions they'll be dealing with. So how to make an application more competitive? So talk to the training and technical assistance provider. They're available 9 to 5 Pacific time. And the email is on your screen, isaid.cfp@gmail.com. The phone number is 971-801-8281. Okay. The other piece I wanted to let you know, you all, because you will probably get an award for this program. So once awarded, a grant or grantees of this program are required to cooperate with the training and technical assistance provider for 2 of those services, which is they will be setting up a project director meeting in collaboration with NIFA, of course. So we expect you to collaborate with them in that when they request you to register for those meetings, yeah, we would like that cooperation. Then we also would love, and it's in the RFA, share copies of all your NIFA required progress reports with the TA and the final project reports so that they can prepare an annual report, which can be very useful for you as well to talk about the projects that, that you are leading in the future. Then I'm going to just quickly go through this additional information to allow you a few minutes for questions here. So additional information. Use the current research information system we call CRIS to find funded awards. That way you can be more in the know of what kind of projects are being funded under this program. We'll share with you real quick. Upcoming events, NIFA event calendars for upcoming deadlines, meetings, and webinars. There's a link there for you to find those events. There are many other programs you can also learn about, and including others you can apply to. So there is a request for applications release calendar that's available to you. And we will be putting these links as well in the chat, hopefully, so that you can look into these links. They have the funding opportunity, the competitive grant flow chart, so you know how the competitive grants work, and other NIFA resources, including the NIFA policy guide, how to find the indirect that Stephanie talked about, and so on and so forth. I'll stop there, and it'll be time for questions. And I know that our technical training and technical assistant providers are here. So if they want to say something, they're also allowed to share something with prospective applicants. Thank you. Do we have questions? I'll let people think about that a little bit. Andy, do you have something you want to add? Andy Fisher, welcome.
Hi, sorry about that. I was muted. So thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. So ISCD, which is part of Third Sector New England has a technical assistance and training grant for this program. So as applicants, we're able to assist you in many different ways. We will have a website up very shortly that has a lot of information going back 15, 20 years even, much of which is still relevant, that will assist you in writing a grant, whether it's a planning grant or a regular grant. I myself am available to work through questions with folks, as well as to review a proposal for a little bit of time just to help you troubleshoot and understand the program better. Been doing this work since the late 90s, so we have pretty decent knowledge of the program. So that's it. We encourage you to contact us through email. I do have a Google form that will ask you to fill out that will provide a little bit more information about your project and the assistance you need. So we're here for you and want to help you get federal dollars. So that's about it. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, Andy. And it's really good for our prospective applicants to put a face to their name. And thank you for being here and sharing that information. So Donna, do we, I want to look at the frequently asked chart to see, maybe you can line up questions for us, Donna, if there's some that need to be answered verbally, or I'm also appreciative of those that are helping to answer the questions as we go.
Absolutely. So we have a question in the Q&A here, and it says, do all of the purposes and priorities need to be met, or can a qualified applicant submit a request for several of the purposes and or priorities?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you read the purposes and priorities, you will, some of them will say and or. So not all, you don't have to meet the entire all goals of the program. You could be meeting out of the goals that are only 3 of them align, or only 2 of them align, but then you can still make a case for a project. And so I hope that's answered for you. Read it carefully to make sure you're seeing the or and the and yeah, you don't have to meet the entire criteria.
Thank you, Lydia. And next we have a question that might go to Stephanie. Can the 1-to-1 match be 100% in kind?
Yes, a 100% in kind is an allowable match.
Wonderful, thank you. Next we have, is there a specific definition of self-supporting, or what constitutes an alternative sustainable funding source?
Great question. So the spirit of the community foods projects is that the community, and that's why the match is required, that the community that is requesting this funding are coming together to come up with a solution. And so it could be solutions related to who else is in the partnership that is going to continue to support this project once the federal dollars are no longer a part of the equation. But that varies for many projects. It's very varied, and it could include other foundations that are in the community. It could include continued match in terms of either in-kind match that has kept the project going until it is completely sustainable on its own. So it is different for every community. This is where I think Andy's team, the training and technical provider team, can be very helpful for applicants when they're dealing with these questions, including the question that was asked previously: do I have to meet all the goals? The technical assistant provider can really work with you, knowing what the intent of your program is and what your resources within your community are to help you design a project that is that reviews well.
Wonderful. Our next question, it says, on the RFA provided on grants.gov, the CFP grant section on page 9 states that $125,000 over 12 months is the minimum award, but the slide states that it is a maximum for the time period. So are applicants able to ask for less than $125,000 over 12 months then?
Not able to ask for less. Yes, it is. It is a maximum for the 12 months. It's not a minimum. I'm sorry if that is what it says on the RFA. So this helps you calculate to the 400 mark for the 3 to 4 year CFP large, maximum grant. Yes, so you can ask for less than 125 in 12-month period. Stephanie, am I right? I think that's what there. Yeah, that's correct.
Right, our next question, I believe, can go to Lydia or Stephanie. And I just lost it. Okay. Do partner organizations need to be co-applicants?
That's a tricky one. So here we go. You determine as the applicant who is your co-applicant and who isn't. So applicants make that judgment whether they're going to be just a sub-awardee, and you determine that, and Stephanie can talk more about the sub-awardee part. But yeah, it's determined by yourself, as the applicant.
Yes, sometimes for sub-awards, we do see that the person who is leading that sub-award is sometimes a co-PD. That is a common thing we see.
Great. Our next question that we have, it says, in order to be eligible, do you need to have experience in all 3 areas listed on page 13? Or can you have experience in some, but not all areas?
You can have experience in some and not all areas. Correct.
Can you provide more information on the components of an extension project as opposed to a research project?
Okay, so the best way for me to explain this to you all is, I think NIFA has a way to categorize projects or programs. This program lies in the extension category, and therefore is not a research project type of program. It does not require you to do research, and it's not a research program. And it's not an education program, because that is considered like what you would do if you're doing higher education types of projects. So it just is a category which this program lies in. So that's just for you to pick extension. But the one thing applicants need to pay attention to is the goals of the program. So if your goals and your mission is aligned with the goals of this program, you can make an application to this program. And then when you go to choosing between research, education, and extension in the application process, always choose extension because this is where this program is categorized. I hope that's clear.
Yes, thank you. Our next question, I will defer to Stephanie, but this might be a question that if you have similar questions, you may reach out specifically to your case. And this is asking about the using funds for agricultural land, a lease on agricultural land.
And Lydia, maybe you can speak to this as well. It depends on if it meets project objectives based on your application. So cost would be like prorated for the amount of land that is used for a project specifically, and it should be fairly valued as well.
Great. Our next question. And Lydia, do we still have time for a few more?
Stephanie, can you stay on another 5 minutes to just get a few more and then
Yes.
okay, yeah, absolutely.
Can an applicant submit both a planning project and a CFP project for consideration in the same year?
Well, that's an interesting one. Good question. You could, if they are in, and you have to tell the reviewers why that is a possibility and how that would work out for you. But yeah, I guess that's something you can do. Although it is envisioned that if you do not have enough of a plan together, then the community nutrition, the community foods projects, the implementation grant might be a ways in terms of length of time where you're getting there. But if you already have a plan together, then it makes sense to apply for a community foods project. So what I don't see is why you would want to apply for a planning grant if you already have a plan together and enough inertia to go at a solution for food security in your community. Then it just I think it just a question of weighing that for yourself, but as an applicant, but you absolutely can do that.
And then kind of similar, are we required to submit a planning project before a community food project?
No, we are not. And in the definition, or at least the purpose of the implementation grant, which I like to call implementation so that I separate it from the planning, is there are communities that have already been doing this work over a long time, and they just need that push to get more into a sustainable solution in their community. So, and they may not have applied for a planning grant to do that. They may have used other sources, or they're just own community initiatives and time and resources to invest in that. So yeah, you don't require planning to apply for an implementation grant.
Wonderful. Let's see. I have a lot of very great questions.
I would say, because we might not get to all of them, if really you could work with your TA with the technical training and technical assistance provider. We provided the email, and it's also on our website, and the phone number. It would be helpful. And then you could always email us on the email that we also provided if you have questions beyond this time. But I can take another question. Hey, yes, Andy. Andy put
Is there a
something.
way to capture the chat and to find out who sent those, and we can try to I can try to respond to those people directly?
Yeah, well, we can look into that. Some are anonymous, and so, but we will certainly see about that. I would add just what Lydia said, feel free to reach out.
Okay, we will capture these questions, and they will, if you have your name on it. Okay, so how would they then contact them? Even if you don't have the name, they don't have the email for them. So.
Just have people email the
Yeah.
email, the address we put on the
Yeah.
screen, and we'll try to respond to them.
There's enough here that will keep us another hour, I think, from what I can see. So, and some of them are anonymous. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. So I think it will be really good. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. 2 participants have raised their hands. Let's see, Donna, could you allow them to ask the question, maybe?
Yes, one moment.
Stephanie, do you have a moment to get to 2:10? Sorry if you
Yes,
have other
no.
engagements. Oh,
All right. Rushira, if you're able to come off mute, may I ask you a question?
Hello.
hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think we can all hear you.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, we used to do the STEM project last year. It's not educational, but we had a big garden, and still we have the garden, and we donated our all vegetables to the service organization, not for the business or something profit, to do like a zero, totally hunger free, zero. So this year we are really interested to do the planning project. So, but we are non-profit charter school, not a private. So whether we are eligible to apply this grant.
Okay, so the question is if you are eligible because you're a non-profit charter school.
Non-profit charter school.
Okay, so thank you, Richard, for your question and the work that you're doing in community. Awesome. We do determine eligibility on, like we talked about, there is, based on the work that you're doing, it sounds you're aligned with the goals of the program. Then we also have a list of items or documents that would be required for you to qualify as a nonprofit according to the program. So how about if you are able, you reach out to Andy and his team, and so that you can determine that eligibility. And I think they can work one-on-one with you, because at least they can ask specific questions about what documentation you have to show and what kind of work that you're doing, and help you design a good planning project. How's that?
Yes, sure.
Great.
I will email him as soon as possible. I don't want to waste the time for you or Mr. Andy Fisher, but of course, today I will send an email to Andy Fisher.
Oh, you're not wasting our time. We are here for you. Thank you.
Because I'm going more deeper and deeper. I'm getting a lot of information. I think it's the best to contact Mr. Andy Fisher, and same time I will go for the documentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's 2:10 and yes, thank you for joining us. We have quite a list of questions, and Donna, thank you for putting that information on how to reach the technical assistant, training and technical assistant provider. It's what I love about this program is that we have such an engaged community. So thank you so much for being here and for listening and for your interest in CFP. We hope that you will continue to get engaged with this program and reach out to the TA and reach out to the NIFA team as well. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Can you guys figure out a way to save these questions? So I tried, I can't do it.
I think we will be
Yes,
able to.
and Lydia, I just wanted to add for anyone still on to refer back to the RFA. It's a kind of our overarching policy. And so definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Please refer to the RFA for any questions. And if I said something in here that is not in the RFA is the right answer. It's the right place for you to, I'll be wrong. The RFA is right. In other words, so